If you run a SaaS company and you aren't already profitably scaling your business on Google Ads, you are missing out on an enormous amount of potential revenue. I have run Google Ads for so many different software companies online, and we've achieved some really, really incredible results. In fact, one of our clients, we actually scaled by 22x from only 10K per month spend up to 222K per month spend, while actually decreasing the new customer acquisition cost. So Google Ads can be a very, very effective scaling mechanism. And today I'm going to walk you through exactly how we run Google Ads for SaaS companies. I'm going to walk you through the campaigns you need to run, the fundamentals and sort of thought processes behind those campaigns to make sure that you're running them effectively. I'm also going to walk you through some tips for setting up those campaigns in the Google Ads platform, and then a bit of a deep dive into competitor campaigns because they are a really big opportunity for a lot of SaaS companies in particular. So today I'm going to be walking you through all of these campaigns, as I mentioned. I'm going to be using ListKit as an example in here. I don't know if you're familiar with ListKit, but it's run by a great group of guys, Daniel Fazio, Christian Bonnier, and Andre Hackel Jr., and I believe maybe someone else. And they are basically a competitor for ZoomInfo, Apollo, Instantly, basically lead sourcing platforms. And there's a really good example, they are a really good example rather to use in this video because I can show you exactly where they could be generating some more revenue by using Google. So to get started, I'm going to start with the most fundamental campaign type on Google for SaaS companies and service-based companies as well. Anything that doesn't sell an e-commerce product. The most fundamental campaign you can run is a non-branded search campaign. This is your classic Google Ads campaign. When you think of Google Ads, this is probably what you're thinking of. It's basically an ad that pops up in the search results, a text-based ad that shows your company, shows your headline, shows your description, and tries to get a user to click through to your website when they search for something specific. Now, what it does is it captures non-branded searches for users with intent to use a product like yours. Now, in the case of ListKit, this may be people searching for best lead sourcing tools. So people are looking for leads, lead lists for cold email, how to get high quality leads for cold outreach. Now you can see this last term here is a little bit higher funnel. These two are very low funnel, right? Best lead sourcing tool, lead lists for cold email, very, very bottom of funnel, high intent. But this one here is a little bit higher funnel. So this is more medium top of funnel, how to get high quality leads for cold outreach. This is someone who's trying to figure out how to get leads. They may not actually know that lead lists or lead sourcing software even exists. And you may actually want to direct these people to a slightly different landing page. These two terms, you could definitely direct someone to just your kind of product or sales page and really just give them a straight pitch. But in this case here, you might want to direct them to more of an educational page. Perhaps you could create a page on your website that walks the user through how they can get high quality leads, what the kind of process looks like, and then pitch your product as the best solution for finding those high quality leads to contact through cold outreach. Now, we can see an example of a non-branded search campaign that we've run in the past for one of our clients, and it's generated an enormous amount of revenue, right? This is a singular campaign here, as you can see, spent $400,000 roughly and generated $1.32 million in attributable revenue on Google. It's a huge, huge campaign, and it's run really, really well. It's generated a lot of new customers and a lot of new revenue for this company. So there's no doubt that these campaigns really, really work. And we were running multiple other campaigns alongside this one at the same time. So this wasn't the only campaign that was generating these kind of results. Next up, competitor campaigns. Now, this is a really interesting one and something that I think it lends better to SaaS companies in particular and software companies because often you already have a lot of demand for your competitors. The market has a lot of demand for your competitors. However, you actually have a better product. A lot of people develop unique, novel, better products in SaaS companies than their competitors, but it can be so difficult to show your better product to the audience. Now, Google is a fantastic way to do that. What you can do is you can capitalize on competitors that have an inferior product, as I was mentioning, right? So in the case of ListKit, I think some inferior products would be Apollo, Instantly, ZoomInfo. I personally don't like really any of these lead sourcing tools. The only tool I've ever actually used for this purpose that I have liked was ListKit. So I think because these are inferior products, what you have to do is identify your primary USPs in your ad copy to sell the click and then direct a comparison or sales landing page. Now, I'll walk you through what this means. Basically, when you run an ad, you want to run an ad on these branded terms. Put simply, right? So when someone searches for Apollo, or when someone searches for Instantly software, or when someone searches for ZoomInfo lead lists, you show your ad. So you put that keyword in your search campaign. And then when your ad shows up, you want to make sure that your ad clearly outlines why these users should be clicking through to your website rather than the website they search for. Now, this can be a little bit difficult because obviously when they're searching for a competitor, they already have intent to go with that competitor. They already kind of trust that competitor to a certain extent. So what you have to do is try and hijack that trust. You have to try and steal them over to your side, which can be difficult. But if you have a genuinely better product, it makes it a lot easier. So what you want to do is in your ad copy itself, in the headline that you have for that ad that's targeting these competitive terms, you want to outline exactly what makes you better. So for example, let's say ListKit was just cheaper. Let's just use that as a very easy USP. So maybe they're cheaper than their competitors. They could put in their headline, 25% cheaper than competitors for higher quality leads, for example, right? Or let's say they have a quadruple verification process for their leads rather than just a single verification on Apollo. They could say quadruple verified leads, unlike our competitors. Something like that. Now, usually try to avoid using competitor names in your ad copy because you can get into sort of dodgy water with that where they may get upset and launch some kind of cease and desist or lawsuit. So just keep it more vague. But if you say like our competitors, if you say better than our competitors, just very vaguely, it often is enough to trigger that recognition in the customer's mind and make them realize that you are comparing yourself to the product that they search for, which is ultimately all you're trying to do with the headline. And then once you really convince them to click through with a very effective headline and comparison, you then want to direct them to a comparison or sales landing page. So what this looks like is a landing page that basically has the classic comparison table. I'm sure you've seen it on many e-commerce sites, many software sites too, where it says us versus them. It has your brand and then it has your competitor's brand listed against each other, and you have all the positive traits of your brand, all the benefits of your brand compared to the competitor. That's a really good page to drive people to when they're searching for this stuff because it clearly outlines why your product is better. And then if you've done a good job of comparing yourself and presenting yourself as a better option, often you can easily sell yourself below that table and then get a sale. Or it can just be a sales page. So just a page that walks through all your unique benefits. But I do recommend if you are advertising on a company such as Apollo, make your landing page specifically targeted towards Apollo's features. Make it specifically comparing against them because the more relevance you have, the higher chance you have of achieving a conversion. Here's an example of a competitor campaign that we were running for, I'm not sure if it was the same company, but this was a competitor campaign that we're running in one of our accounts. And you can see it can work really, really well. For example, we spent $20,000 here and converted $54,000 worth of new customers. Now, it may seem like a slightly lower ROAS. However, because we are converting these people as completely cold traffic, these people had never even considered us as an option. They were going to go with a competitor and we stole them right out of those competitors' hands, brought them through, converted them. And this is also only first touch revenue or first purchase revenue. In reality, these customers are going to be worth a lot more than just $54,000, probably $150,000 plus, in which case is a really good return, especially because we've stolen them directly out of the grasp of a competitor. Now, an example here is, as I mentioned, a user searches for Apollo IO and they get this ad, right? ListKit, guaranteed highest quality leads or you don't pay. This is just something I whipped up quickly. Basically says we have the highest quality leads, better than Apollo. And I didn't even mention competitors, but you could say higher quality leads than all of our competitors or something like that. Just make sure it's effective, make sure it's unique, and make sure it's true. Don't make it too tacky. I mean, the examples I've given aren't really that high quality, but it's just an example to show you what I'm talking about. By the way, if you want me to implement my entire 8-figure Google Ads system for your e-commerce brand, SaaS company, service-based business, whatever you are, as long as you run Google Ads, just click the first link below to book a call with my team. Branded campaign. Now, this is a super easy one. All you want to do is just capture all of your branded traffic in this singular campaign to simplify your attribution. So when you are running Google Ads, you will naturally have people searching for your brand name. As soon as you start to drum up some attention on platforms such as Meta and TikTok and organic, you'll have people searching for your brand. When you have people searching for your brand, you want to convert them. You want to make sure that you don't have competitors who are bidding on your brand in terms of stealing your conversions. So you want to run a branded campaign. Very easy. Search campaign, just put in your brand name terms, just the variations of your brand name. In ListKit's case, it would just be ListKit IO, ListKit, and ListKit in exact match format, and then run them in a search campaign with ads tailored towards people who already know about you. Quick note here, you do want to put negative keywords for your brand name in the non-branded search because you don't want to be targeting branded traffic in that campaign. You want to keep all of it in your branded campaign. The reason is it allows you to simplify your attribution significantly, makes it very, very clear which users coming in or which customers coming through your account rather are branded and they know about you and which ones are non-branded and new to your brand, essentially. It also allows you to stack huge amounts of data to boost algorithmic targeting. So the beauty of a branded campaign is it brings in the highest quality, most tailored customers in order to make sure that you are feeding the algorithm with really high quality data. These are people that know about you, they like you, they've probably bought from you before, and they're ready to buy from you again. And when you essentially register that conversion and send it back to the account, send that customer data back to Google, it gives Google a really clear picture of who it should be targeting in its non-branded campaigns, because it knows exactly what a high intent branded customer looks like. So it's really worth running these campaigns. A lot of people think it's not worth it because it's a waste of money to build your own brand name, but I've already given you 2 reasons why it is not a waste of money. 1, you need to protect yourself from competitors, and 2, you really want to bolster up your algorithm and give it more and more high quality data. Everything in Google nowadays is automated. Everything runs on data. If you don't have the most data, honestly, he with the most data wins on Google in a lot of cases with a lot of brands. Obviously, media buying strategy, very important. But if you have an absolute abundance of data, it's going to make your job so much easier than if you don't. Non-branded PMax. Now, this is a potential expansion beyond your search campaigns. You don't always need this. We actually haven't even deployed PMax yet in this rather large SaaS account that we're using solely for the sake of keeping things clearly segregated and very clearly aligned. But it's possible, and I would recommend it in a lot of accounts. It's really on an account by account basis. It captures a much broader demand across all of Google's networks. So you can capture display, Gmail, search, video, all the way across everything Google owns. Essentially, it just kind of advertises everywhere. And allows you to be very omnipresent and follow your customers around the internet, is what that's meant to say. The reason why I don't use it in some accounts is because it's very difficult to control. Even with really tight controls on the campaign, you can often end up advertising outside of where you want to be and on the customers you don't want to be kind of targeting. So just be careful, use it in moderation. If you need more traffic, if you need to expand further out, if you want to test the algorithm a little bit more, try PMax. Next up, video campaigns. Now, video campaigns are very top of funnel, but they can also be remarketing. In most cases, we use them top of funnel. Generates additional top of funnel demand from high performing video creators, very similar to Meta. So if you're running on Meta ads, it's just like Meta, except it's running on YouTube and YouTube Shorts. In many cases, you are marketing to essentially unaware individuals, or maybe problem aware but solution unaware. Just definitely people higher up in the funnel than your search and PMax and shopping campaigns, or search and PMax rather. So think of it like Meta. It can work well, but it is very difficult, and it really relies heavily on data. If you don't have a lot of data in your Google Ads account, you will find it difficult to succeed with top of funnel video campaigns. However, remarketing can work very well and can be very easy with video campaigns. If you have effective video assets, which I know a lot of software companies do, a lot of SaaS companies have sort of flagship videos that they've created video ads in the horizontal format especially. You can run these on YouTube to interested prospects, to re-engage interested prospects through YouTube remarketing. So this could be a case of remarketing people who have visited your website, people who have clicked on your ads, people who have purchased in the past and churned, whatever it may be. You can advertise to all these people preferentially by using audience lists, also just by using general campaigns that will try to retarget people if you set a kind of a tighter goal on it. So, but I recommend generally, if you want to retarget people, upload a specific list so you can make it more specific. In any case, remarketing video can be very effective. Now, here are some tips for setting up the campaigns themselves. Setting up a non-branded search campaign, you just want to use phrase match keywords centered around your specific problem and solution. So in the case of ListKit, like I said, you want to be using keywords such as best lead sourcing tool, lead list for cold email, and we're using phrase match, which is indicated by the quotation marks here. So we're using phrase match format. And then for bidding, you want to use max clicks at the very beginning, or manual CPC if you're comfortable with it, and then transition into max conversions and TCPA once you have a bit of data in the account. Typically 10 to 15 conversions, you can start testing max conversions. And make sure you use negative keywords or branded terms like I mentioned earlier on. For branded search, all you want is exact match keywords for your brand name. In our case here, it would just be ListKit, ListKit.io, and any kind of other variants, list space kit, maybe any misspellings that are common. Very low budget allocation relative to other campaigns. So branded search should only be typically 5 to 10% of budget. You don't need more than 10% most cases. If you're spending over 10% of your total Google Ads account budget on branded, you're probably overspending, you're probably spending inefficiently. And I'd recommend looking at your bidding strategies to make sure that you're not overspending on brand. And then PMax non-brand. Finally, the negative keywords for branded terms, like your non-branded search campaign. You want to make sure that you're just getting rid of any branded traffic from this as best you can. Use brand exclusions when possible too, just to make sure that PMax isn't leaning too heavily into branded traffic. If you allow it to, PMax will go entirely after branded remarketing traffic, which is great for a high ROAS, but isn't really very good for new customer acquisition or actual incremental spend. So be very careful with PMax. Finally, I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of these competitor campaigns. Like I said, I would. Imagine you are ListKit, right? And this is where the beauty is for software and SaaS, because like I said, a lot of companies have a genuinely superior product, but they just can't get their name out there. And what you can do is advertise in these competitor terms, show your potential customers that you have a better product, and then you can often sell them. So what you want to do when you're structuring these competitor campaigns, you want to separate your competitors out by ad groups. So competitor 1 and ad group 1, competitor 2 and ad group 2. And you want customized ad copy on each one with specific USPs for that competitor. So let's say you have better quality leads than Zoom Info. Then in this one, you want to contain your ad copy saying higher quality leads than all of our competitors. Chuck something cheeky in there, just try not to use the brand name. And in this one, maybe you have larger number of leads than Instantly, and you could say in your copy here the largest list of high quality quadruple verified leads on the internet, right? Something like that. I don't know, but just make sure that your USPs are targeted towards a specific competitor. When they are, it's going to be a lot more effective because it makes it very, very clear why you're better than them. And just like that, that's the example that I walked you through earlier. So that is everything on how to run Google Ads for a SaaS company. Obviously, deploying the actual campaigns in the account is a little bit more technical. There are a few more steps in it. However, you can watch any of my tutorials previously on my channel on how to actually build campaigns in the account. Follows the exact same structure. The most important part is just knowing the overall strategy and understanding the fundamentals of how this works. If you find this all a little bit overwhelming, but you still want to grow your SaaS company with Google Ads, then please feel free to book a call with me down below. We work with many, many brands across a very wide range of industries, and we've produced over $75 million in revenue for our clients using Google Ads. And I'm pretty confident that we can help you make money as well. If you have a solid offer, a solid product, and you know people want to buy it, we can get out there and make you a lot more money. So book a call down below if you're interested. Otherwise, please feel free to leave any video suggestions in the comments. If you like this one, give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.